Courtney. Welcome back to my channel and I hope you are doing so very well. First and foremost, please excuse my voice. I am coming out of a cold and I still sound really bleh. But I wanted to get a video up about my journal for 2018. I know this is a bit late considering it's March, and I've had a lot of questions about it on Instagram and everything like that. So I thought I'd give a little quick go through about what I'm using for 2018 and where I came from in 2017. So in 2017, I used the Nanami Paper 7 Seas Crossfield in the older style. I believe they've brought the crosses, the blue crosses back. I could be mistaken, I can't quite remember. So I actually had to split my journal, which if you saw on my channel, I did a video on spine surgery because I had busted my spine quite badly with all of the stuff that I put into my journal. So I had to split it up, and I actually split it up into 3 pieces. My third piece is actually turned into a business notebook in my pink Sojourner folio. So this is another part of the insert that obviously is not my journal anymore. Because I have moved on in 2017. I started a new journal, but the is Beast 1 and Beast 2, and it is filled to the brim with lots and lots of art and craziness, and I loved it. I had a little bit of trouble with the Tomoe River paper at first, and the whole sort of idea of being careful with how my tip-ins worked, because if I wasn't careful, the integrity of the page wouldn't stand up to the weight of all the tip-ins. And if you know me, you know I love a good tip-in, so I had to be super careful, and that kind of, I got through it. We got through it with time and things, but I definitely had a rough time getting it all happening and trying to just work with it. I did really enjoy the challenge, and I would return back to the 7 Seas Crossfield or any notebooks by Nanami Paper. They are really awesome quality, and they are really beautiful to work with. I do totally adore the journals in general. So it came up to December, and I still have quite a bit of December to journal, which I will go back and do in my spare time, because I went overseas on a family holiday with my kids and my husband, first one ever, and so I have stuff to journal, and I felt stuck because I wanted to journal about December, but you know, 2018 had already started and I wasn't sure how I wanted to go about it. So I took the decision to pick up a new journal and just start afresh for 2018, and that is exactly what I did. So let me introduce you to my journal for 2018. This is a Sojourner. The cover that I've got, a Sojourner folio in the turmeric leather. This is a beautiful mustard yellow that I just absolutely adore. Let me turn my lamp on, so that's probably a more truer look at the color. It's really dark here in Australia. Mother Earth does not know what she's doing. She's got a bit of personality disorder at the moment. So turmeric is no longer available. It came out for a little while, went away, and then I was really regretting not getting my hands on one, and she brought it back. She got her hands on a similar leather, and I jumped because I knew that I wanted it, and now it is no longer available at the moment. But if you have your hands on one, you're very lucky. I just love how the yellow and pink go together. You guys know I'm a pink fanatic, and I loved how the yellow looked against all my pink things. So I decided to switch out my pink cover that you saw before, that was my journal cover, to this. And I'm obviously not using a traveler's notebook right now, but I really am enjoying the whole feel of a bound book with a leather cover. So that's how I'm going at the moment. I do sometimes miss my traveler's notebooks, but I do just really love the ease, and it stops me from hoarding all the things. Yes, I do put things in these sometimes, and there's also slip pockets here if you wanted to put things, and I do have like odds and ends, but nowhere near as much stuff as what the traveler's notebook would hold. And I think that that's a good thing, especially when it comes to carrying my journal everywhere in my handbag. With my traveler's notebook, it was like putting in a brick, because I had, you know, so many things on the strings that it just got ridiculous. I can admit it. I can admit that I'm an overstuffer, but with the folios you really can't. You can to some extent, but nowhere near as much as you can with the traveler's notebook. Nowhere near. So that's kind of why I made the shift. And I've got quite a few covers from Row in the folio, and I just love them. So I'm actually using as my journal for this year. Oh look, see, I've got hoarded pieces of paper back here. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? I don't put things in the pockets. Sprung. So I'm actually using a Midori MD, but in the cotton, and it is slightly different to the Midori MD paper. This was introduced to me by one of the inkies. She had told me about it, and so I decided to grab one. She also gave me one as well, so I ordered one from Jet Pens, but she gave me one, so I actually have two of these, and I'm actually really enjoying them. It reminds me so much of the 003 insert, which you know is the one insert that I have used as a constant when I was in the standard size traveler's notebook. A lot of my previous journals, actually all of my previous journals in the standard size were the 003, and if I was ever to return back to the standard size traveler's notebook, I would for sure return back to the 003. It's the one notebook that I love and adore. But this actually reminds me so much of the 003 or my test. I love how it held watercolor and how it dried. So these are some watercolor tests that I was trying on the back before I decided to go into it. It is lovely and smooth. These are the Jane Davenport Magic Wands. I was just testing how colored pencil worked on it, because I do love working in colored pencil. So I have totally been enjoying this little baby. This is in the A5 size. I did stick to the same size, although once I finish this I may switch to a B6, just to give it a try out, so I can see. I want to try a B6, the A5, the standard, and I think that's all. I don't think I could ever convert to an A6 as a journal. I think that's just too little for me, but I would like to try a B6. I like how that, not the B6 Slim, but an actual B6. So that may be my next journal once I finish this one, or I may just go into the next cotton one and finish that and then try a B6. So I'll give you a flick through. I'm not even halfway through, but it looks a lot more than it actually is because of how much junk I throw into this thing. I love tip-ins. Tip-ins are doing so well with this paper. It's got just a little bit more substance to it. It's not as ASMR with I mean, it does sound lovely, but it doesn't sound as lovely as Tomoe River paper. So if you're a big fan of the sound of Tomoe River paper, then you may. I mean, it's paper. I love paper regardless, but it's just there's something about Tomoe River paper that just makes those beautiful paper crushy sounds that we all love. So this is currently where I'm at. I'm just sort of experimenting with a lot of white space actually. I found for some unknown reason that I really enjoyed not prepping all my pages with watercolor the way I did in my previous journal. So that was something new for me, was writing a lot with clear white space and adding things like colors and color palettes. As you guys saw, I did this tip-in video for Jane, and so I have them in my journal. I have added some color and things, but I definitely am enjoying the white space, doing a little bit of watercolor of some plants. I have become a plant mom, so I have quite a few plants, and I've been really enjoying taking some time for myself. That was one of my goals. One of my words for this year was balance, and it was to make sure that I did at least 15 minutes of art for myself with no cameras rolling, just so I could do whatever I wanted. So I did do a lot of little watercolorings in my journal. I did some sketches, that sort of thing. I've been trying to keep a sketchbook a bit more, just sort of honing my skills and practicing a bit more, because I feel like I don't draw enough things that are hard for me. I am always on autopilot. I'm always drawing things that I don't find hard, because I do make a lot of collage sheets, which if you have been waiting to hear about my Etsy store, yes, my collage sheets will be coming to Etsy. I've just started doing a thing because my Patreon people get a whole lot of sheets, between 8 and 15 or whatever. It's crazy. It's meant to be 4 and I'm an overgiver, but I've decided to only put aside 4 each month for Patreon that are strictly will stay there, and then all the excess collage sheet elements will go onto Etsy, where you can purchase them if you so wish. So I will be starting to photograph and load up collage sheets onto my Etsy store, so just be a little bit patient with me. It's gonna take a long time. But yeah, white space. I don't know what it is, but I'm really enjoying the white space. I've got tip-ins that I've been like painted for collage sheets, and sometimes I like the original so much I put it into my journal. So this is actually my girlfriend Sian's, one of her collages that I've popped in there. I really am enjoying photo tip-ins on the side. I've had no issues at all with my spine so far. Fingers crossed, touch wood and all those things. But I'm enjoying sort of documenting life as it happens, which is actually the Sojourner tagline, another one of my photo windows that I just love. I love sort of popping in watercolor swatches and drawings and things. I'm trying to be a bit more, not a bit more creative, but just sort of not, I am not a chronological journaler. I don't know if I've mentioned that on here before, but I journal for myself. My kids will get my journals, but I don't journal for them. But I do sort of, if there's something that I want to document, as in an event or something important, then I will put a date on it and I'll talk about that event. But I do not really journal chronologically at all, which means I build my pages in stages, and I'll probably do a video on that very soon, or do another week in the life of a journal keeper. I've just actually finished doing one of those for Patreon, but people find it interesting watching me build my pages in stages. So I will add things. You'll see a lot of half worked on pages. I get stuck, I move on. So there is that sort of, that's how I journal these days, and how I choose to journal, how I enjoy journaling. So like this page here is not, obviously not finished. There's a whole heap of stuff that I would do to this before I found it finished, but you'll see that that becomes like a theme. There are things in my journal that aren't finished, and I'm totally okay with that. I really love doing little photo montages, so like little snapshots of like a month or a week or something, and put them all together as a way to sort of showcase elements in my days that are something that you wouldn't normally capture, like having a cup of tea while holding my husband's hand, photographing my pink Doc Martens, Inco with all the wax seals and things, and gaming on a Sunday night with my husband. They have absolutely no relation to each other, except there are moments that are part of my day, and I think showing the little moments is a great way, especially something that I would do for my kids, so they could see the sort of things, or sort of, you know, how I'm like, or what I like to do, stuff like that. Acetate, I'm really into acetate at the moment. So these are some of my photographs of some florals that I got from a birthday bouquet that are dried out, but dried really lovely. So I photographed them and turned them into an acetate window. Just playing with collage and things, and my HB sprocket. This is actually my Valentine's Day spread that I obviously have a whole nother page to write about, but this was my way of documenting Valentine's Day by altering some photographs of me and my hubby. But that's the sort of thing that will have like the 14th, and I'm pretty sure I wrote, yeah, Valentine's Day. So Sometimes I just like to put really big photos into my journals if there's something that I want to just document without putting a million words on a page. So there's that, and then this is kind of where my pages are currently at. I like putting in really large tip-ins with big photos because photos mean so much to me, and there's something that I've always included in my art journal, in my normal journal, in my project life, you name it. Photographs are just the be-all and end-all for me. I always find a way to incorporate photos into my artwork. It's one of my favorite things to do. So you'll see half-finished pages with more acetate windows, some of my collage sheet elements, working in my personal style into my journal pages as a way to document how I dress at this age, so my kids can see that. One of my favorite things was seeing old photos of stuff that my mom was wearing when I was a kid, and they sort of like trigger off memories. So I always try and find a way to document my personal style, since it's always changing, so that my kids can see, oh, this is what mommy like wore when she was, 34. Even though it looks like I'm a 5-year-old kid with hot pink Converse on, that's okay. I'm okay. I'll embrace my inner child. So these are in progress pages at the moment with some tip-ins and some watercolors and things, and then a list of things to do in Japan. And that is it. That is where I'm currently at with my journal. I was going to include my planner in this video, but I thought I'd just separate the two so I can focus on one or the other. I've got lots of collage pieces off to the side so I can see bits and pieces of stuff, because I am working on a video for a Nook Dweller tip-in idea using Jane Davenport products. But that is my journal. That is what I'm using. I absolutely love how it's taking paint. I have used acrylic paint in this, paint markers, watercolor, inks. What else have I used? Stamping. Have I done stamping in this? I don't know if I've actually done any stamping as such. The only thing that I found that has bled through so far is the Incredible Inks from Jane. My multi-ball pens, which I absolutely love. My Pilot multi-ball pens, which have been a fast favorite for me. They bleed through, but my Tiki graphic pens do not. Watercolor seems to be doing just fine. I think that's all I found so far that has bled through. But it is holding up to, like I said, a whole heap of this acetate on here. I've got photographs tipped into the sides. It's really holding up well. Like, this one is a heavily tipped in page and it is doing just fine. Whereas if I was to do the same thing with my Nanami Paper one, even though I absolutely love that journal, I had a lot of trouble with tip-ins, and so now that I know that it's going fine, I'm just going a little bit tip-in crazy, which is not a bad thing, but I'm definitely putting the journal through its paces to see how it holds up. But I am absolutely loving my journal in 2018, and I hope to be able to do a few journal with me videos for you guys in the future. I'm also going to be doing a supply documentation video for you guys for the month of January and February, so I can get that up very soon. Again, my word for this year is balance, so I am trying very, very hard to try and balance my work life and my YouTube life. So we will try and get there together. So I will be back to YouTube very, very soon, but I thought I'd give you just a peek inside my journal because it's a nice, easy, fun, chatty video, and I love looking inside people's journals. It's one of my favorite things to do. So let me know down below if you've tried this journal, if you've loved it, if you hate it, or if there's a journal that you think I should try and I haven't tried. I'm always looking for new journals to try, even though I probably shouldn't be be buying another journal for the next 50 million years because I'm a hoarder. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys again very, very soon. Bye. So I would normally put what do you call it, a sprocket print on each side, something like this, and then that little hinged, I would use clear tape to adhere it so that it doesn't interfere with my thing, and it would just sit on both sides of that very, very simply. Here's the one that I have yet to finish. I have the back side to do, but I'd already earmarked it for sitting in this page. This page right here is where this will live, and you can see instantly that makes a really fun, funky way to frame something, and because it will be dual-sided, it will look awesome either which way. And I like that each side has a different feel, so you can do one side black and white, you can do one side color. It is absolutely endless, the possibilities. You can do them all monochromatic, you can do certain ones if you know how your spread's going to look or you know what color